I'm really pleased that you're here because this week's episode with Danilo is going to be about panic attacks and anxiety. And it's something that so many of us suffer with at some stage in our lives. You're going to be picking up all sorts of tips about reading the symptoms in order to be addressing the cause of the issue. What is it that is making your body react the way it's reacting? And what can we do about it? The fascinating thing about homeopathy is, of course, we're matching that energy with the energy of some of the homeopathic remedies, and it means that we can teach your body to react in a different way, a more appropriate way. So there's lots to take away this week in today's podcast. Hello, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm really pleased to be able to welcome today Danilo Tortora. How are you? Thank you for joining us.
Hi, Mary. Thank you for the opportunity to be here
It's lo-
and welcome everybody.
it's lovely to be able to have this opportunity, Danilo, because you're a homeopath and you're a psychologist, and what a wonderful mix.
Yes, it's so nice actually to being able to combine everything together because I actually started my journey as a midwife, and then I went through homeopathy and decided also to explore a bit more the psychological aspect of homeopathy as well to get better understanding. So that's why I also decided to become a psychologist.
My goodness. Okay. Well, I am really excited about actually exploring a little bit more about the psychology with the homeopathy. But we are here today to talk about anxiety, and in particular, anxiety in children. And of course, that totally fits with your background as well. So, where do we begin? It's such a big subject, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a very very wide subject, and as anxiety, it really goes. We find a lot of um, psychological aspects of our life that can actually trigger anxiety, and anxiety as such, it can as stress. Sometimes we think anxiety as stress or stress as anxiety,
Yeah.
or there is a difference. There is a big difference, but often, the stress and anxiety related to events and situation, they're not necessarily a bad thing. If he's, also only for a particular event, a particular situation. It's just a way for the body to adapt and to overcome that difficulty. The problem is when the anxiety stays there for a long period of time, or it's part of our everyday life, that becomes an issue, of course. And actually, anxiety is something that we recently came across we recently quite come across quite often with children. And I think probably the COVID pandemic has exacerbated this issue. And it was in fact that after the pandemic that I came across a lot of people and children suffering with panic attacks and anxiety. And as someone who works with both adults and children, I've seen firsthand how distressing anxiety can be.
And of course, it's totally life debilitating, isn't it? When it's affecting aspects of the life, it's affecting communication, it's affecting interaction, it's affecting communities, and actually that communication between people. Um, it's really distressing when people come to you, and especially with young children as well. So
Yeah, because the impact, of course, can be more profound because they don't always have the word to express how they feel. This can be also quite hard for parents to identify and address that the child, needs some help.
And of course, so as you said, the anxiety then might lead to communication issues, it might lead to anger outbursts, it might lead to other things. But let's
Yeah.
just have a general view, first of all, about the symptoms, why somebody might come to a homeopath, might start
Yeah.
considering, well, what can homeopathy do? How could homeopathy help my child who is really anxious and really suffering at the moment? Because the scale of the different ways that might come about is huge, isn't it? So let's just go through some of those common symptoms that we might see.
Yeah. So, of course, for adults, it might just show up as like nervousness or attention, or sometimes the physical symptoms, what is called like psychosomatic. So, relating what is happening actually, in our mind, and it presents in our body. And that's why homeopathy works very well, because it considers that holistic approach. So, we are not just focusing on the mind, or we're not just focusing on the body, but we actually taking the person that we have in front of us and treat that person, treat the holistic view of the symptom that is presenting to us. In children, it can be a little bit more difficult because it can present as like a misbehavior, perhaps.
Yeah.
So some common signs of anxiety in children could be stomachache. It can be headaches. So if the child has like recurrent headaches, of course, we need to understand whether that is just related for the fact that the child is making a physical, mental exertion, like in terms of a mental overwork related to homeworks or school. So that's why it's important for us to have that conversation and be able to differentiate whether it's something more profound rather than just school related. Or it can also be can present with the racing heart, so palpitation. So the child can complain of raising habits. Generally, it can present also as irritability or clinginess. So the child can be very, demanding, or can also have can present with the difficulty in concentrating, because perhaps there are a lot of things that are playing in the child's mind, and they cannot concentrate. Frequent crying or emotional outbursts, so tantrums, which can also sometimes become a bit aggressive, because of course the child, especially if they are below a certain age, 7 8 years old, they still haven't developed fully the emotional aspects of the mind, so they're still not able to recognize very well their emotions, so they have that difficulty on managing them. So that's why it's important to look at the signs and understand whether there is something else that is going on. Of course, it can also present as a panic attack, which is very intense episodes with a very strong fear, and of course, we don't want to. It can be difficult to manage a panic attack, because the child, the person, can have that strong fear that they are dying. So it's important to recognize it. It's important to get help, and also, of course, if the symptom persists, it might be better to also talk with a doctor to understand whether there is anything else that we might need support with.
Yes, yes, it's very important, isn't it? And so just understanding then a panic attack effectively is a flare of the anxiety where
Yeah,
things are just in that moment just a lot worse.
correct.
Okay, so it could be the same sort of symptoms, but it's actually, all encompassing and nothing can be done.
Correct. Yeah. It's a
Uh,
very brief period of that intense discomfort and anxiety and fear that is accompanied by somatic or cognitive symptoms. So palpitation, we can have a sensation of a heat flash that goes
yeah.
into our head, that fear of dying, sudden fear of dying. Yeah.
Yeah, and I know for adults as well, quite often they feel nauseous or they feel faint as well.
Yeah.
So, and it seems to me that a lot of people who have had panic attack, then they have a lot of fear of having a panic attack. Um,
Yes.
and so the
So
fear
that can become what is called as a panic disorder when you
of,
have that fear of having another panic attacks, which can be quite challenging.
yes, 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 indeed. Can you just explain for everybody listening what we talk about anxiety and fear? Are
Yeah.
they two separate things? Are they the similar things and just different words? Are we just looking at how you're explaining your experience? Why do we put those two together?
I think there is I would say yes and no. So there is definitely a difference in terms of anxiety and fear, but at the same time they can be present together.
Yes.
So as you know, the example that we talked about before, the panic attacks, you have that fear of dying. So the fear is there, and it's also how actually the mind works. So with the anxiety, what it triggers as well is that fight and flight response. So with the fight and flight response, is basically triggered when there is a danger. So if you are in danger, then of course you have fear. So you put in place that fight and flight response. So basically, the anxiety can trigger those mechanisms in the brain, and therefore. You also experience the fear. So there is a difference, but they actually they are present at the same time
Okay.
most
Okay.
often.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And with homeopathy, how does homeopathy differ from mainstream or traditional medicine? What approaches do we have homeopathically?
Yeah, so of course, as I said, homeopathy looks at the whole person. So it doesn't look just at the symptom itself. It recognizes every individual, including children, as the unique response to that stress, to that anxiety, and that's why the individualization treatment is key. So some remedies that we might use for certain people might not work for others, just because we're actually looking at that individualized approach. What it presents for you as anxiety is not the same for me, and the situation as well. It could be that my anxiety is triggered going into social places, or my anxiety is triggered about being in a small enclosed space. So there are different type of triggers, and therefore that's what we need to look at and understand how to approach differently. Homeopathy, as opposed to traditional medicine as well, aims to restore the balance to the body's vital force, which governs both our physical and emotional health. So instead of masking the symptoms, instead of just suppressing that symptoms, actually homeopathy works with the body's own natural healing process, so helping to reduce the underlying cause of anxiety. So it could be that there is an etiology, an event that has triggered that anxiety. So we need to address that cause for that child, for that person, to overcome that fear and that anxiety. One of the patients I'm working currently at the moment is a child who actually is a 7 years old child, and is still hasn't developed a full understanding of his emotional being. And he started developing this kind of anxiety for school. Whenever he needs to do any homeworks or whenever he needs to prepare his school bag, he keeps checking his school bag to make sure that everything is there. He keeps rechecking that he's done all his homework. So he's developed that kind of anxiety towards school. So of course there can be some maintaining causes, what we call as maintaining causes. So it's important to understand whether there is anything inside that school environment that might have an impact on his anxiety, or whether there is something else that might, of course, play with the school anxiety, because not necessarily is something related to the school, can be something else that, and then the child reflects that anxiety towards the school environment.
Uh-huh. Because, of course, that might well have been a trauma or an emotion caused by somebody saying something, or, of course, parents being, make sure that you've got everything so that you
Yes.
can perform the best way, and that overbearingness, or it might have been a teacher telling them off, and they might, of course, have that fear of being reprimanded. We see that a lot,
Yes.
don't we? And then, of course, we have to also take into account that it might not have been that. It might be something that the child is reacting to, for instance, mold, or something in the environment that is really, really pressing on the whole immunity and strength of the child as well.
Yes. Definitely. Definitely.
So you mentioned maintaining cause, and of course we can match a remedy. We can ask all of the questions. We can get a remedy that seems like it's really good. And then still, if we're not understanding that maintaining cause, why did this begin in the first place? Where did the unbalancing happen? What triggered this in the first instance? It's very hard to get a lasting result, isn't it, without going back and addressing that.
Definitely, if the maintaining cause is there and is not resolved, it's very, very difficult also to work with the homeopathy, because of course you have that obstacle there, that what is called as an obstacle to cure. Most often what we see actually with homeopathy is that they get a little bit of help. So there is a little bit of improvement,
Yeah.
but something is there that is not actually,
And
curing
then,
that case.
okay, so then we can look further. Okay, what else might needs to be cleared in order for this remedy to continue working properly?
Yeah.
Let's just think for a moment about confidence, because we usually find with anxiety and giving a remedy that the first thing that happens is the child becomes a little bit more confident.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's one of the main difference that we can see when we treat the child. So yes, they respond very well to homeopathic remedies. I must say. So we normally tend to see a difference very very soon in children, perhaps because they are not bombarded as we are as adults with a lot of other environmental factors and stress as adults, yeah, so they do develop that kind of confidence, and so they start also to perhaps being a little bit more open about their emotions, and they start building that trust also with the people around them. Yeah.
That's a very good point, actually, because as well as confidence improving, communication starts improving as well,
Yes.
doesn't it? So it all goes hand in hand, doesn't it? And actually, we can probably say that for adults as well, that for anxiety to lessen, communication often
Improves. Yeah.
has to improve. So it's very interesting, isn't it? And let's face it, we can't get away from the fact that if we look in repertories, we must have over 500, maybe 1,000 remedies that
Correct.
are
Yeah.
associated with anxiety. So, my goodness, where do we start?
Yes. Yeah, there are a lot of remedies that we can use for anxiety. So, of course, there are, a few that are very good for treating the acute episode, as we said, that, panic attack, for example. So, remedy like Arginate or Aconite or Gelsemium, they can be very, very helpful to help with that panic attack episode. So if you have that anticipatory anxiety, so before any anxiety before any events or situations, it can be very, very helpful to help you go through and manage that anxiety. So what is called as stage fright anxiety.
Yes,
Yeah.
of course. Yes, and in fact, I have got two examples at the moment where Argentum Nitricum helps one boy just get to school every day.
Yeah.
It is really making a big difference there. And in an adult competing on a horse, they used to get so very nervous beforehand that it all went to pot. And actually, that remedy is really, really helping them actually just get into the competition. Um,
Definitely.
it's amazing. So let's just go through the difference between those three remedies that you mentioned: arginate, gelsemium, and aconite, because they are very different pictures, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. They are. So with Arginate, normally, so that these remedies are normally effective with for people and children who experience anticipatory anxiety, as I mentioned before, especially for, as you mentioned, school or social events. So with Arginate, normally there is a lot of thoughts going over the mind. So they start overthinking. They start sometimes become a little bit more paranoid about what is going to happen. So they might have that, catastrophic
Yes.
thoughts
Yes.
of something bad that will happen. So they have that strong fear of something bad that will happen. It can be also associated with some of the digestive issues. So normally arginine is associated with digestive issue just before the event as well. In terms of aconite instead, is normally used for an anxiety that comes on suddenly. So it can be quite a good remedy, for example, for panic attacks, because normally the panic attacks come quite suddenly.
Excellent.
Or it can also be associated with a traumatic or a sudden shock. So it can be very helpful with that. Gelsemium is also used for anticipatory anxiety, which is more related to performance. So if someone is doing like a public speaking, and is also marked by a sense of weakness, trembling. So people, children or adults might start trembling before the event, and they might have that fear of failure as well associated with that. These are, a few differentiation that we can use between the three remedies. But as I said, these are, just the starts, and there are a lot more remedies that we can use for anxiety.
Yes, because I often say that gelsemium, if you go really quiet before, and arginate, if you start talking really rapidly and everything, you
Yeah.
get really nervous and you go really fast. It's just a completely different energy there, isn't it?
Yes.
Whereas aconite has got that, oh my goodness, I'm going to die.
Yeah.
It's
That
just
shock,
a
just
freeze.
sudden, yeah,
Yeah,
freeze.
sort
Yeah.
of a rabbit
Yeah.
in the headlights, isn't it? Yeah, so amazing. Now, let's just touch for a moment on the remedy Burrito Carb and perhaps ambergris, because those remedies are so useful, aren't they? With shyness and the anxiety caused by people,
Yes.
actually having
Yes.
to talk to people or to meet people or to go somewhere they haven't been before. And we see a tremendous anxiousness quite often in children, don't we?
Yeah, and beta carbs, it works very, very well in children as well, not just for the anxiety, but also, if we see that kind of slowness in children as well, they might just struggle to thrive, or they might struggle to concentrate, to getting a little bit more help and understanding with the school and homework. It actually works really, 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 really well, not just with anxiety alone. And we find this with a lot of remedies as well. There's not such a remedy that is only indicated for one singular thing, but we can use, Gelsemium, for example, just going back to it for other issues, and is a great remedy also for cold.
Yes, isn't it? And flu
And
and all
flow,
sorts of
yeah,
things. It's got a huge picture, hasn't it? The one I love about burrito carb is fear of the hand dryers in public toilets, the
yeah.
noise, and it's just that intense noise. And I have used that so often, and people say, well, "Why are you asking that?" And it's just because it is so particular to that
Yeah,
remedy, isn't it? That sudden noise is frightening. And of course, some children have a huge anxiety with loud noises.
yeah, yeah, definitely.
Excellent, excellent. So I know that we've got a huge number of other remedies as well, and it's just too much to
Yeah,
go
yeah, yeah.
through. But I
And
think
of
we
course,
can
you
do.
you, you know, it really depends also on the person that you have in front of you, on the child or adults you have in front of you, because sometimes not necessarily these remedies we talked about will make a huge difference. They might just help for that moment,
Okay.
but they still need something that goes deeper, that so that we can actually address and avoid for that happening again in the future. So I had last year this young man who came to me with anxiety and panic attacks as well, very strong panic attacks. He actually didn't recognize there were panic attacks, but while I was taking his full history, I recognized there were, because he was getting these palpitations, this shortness of breath, which is another sign that's very present in panic attacks, and that sudden shock as well, that like he would freeze, and in that case I had to go deeper. I gave him something, for that
Yeah.
moment, for the
Yeah.
situation when he presents, but I had to go deeper, and I had to do more what we call as a miasmatic prescribing, because it's something deeper was quite obvious and was quite there.
So let's just go over what we mean by that then. So
Yeah,
miasmatic would be actually going back to that inherited
inheritance.
susceptibility.
Yeah, that
Um,
terrain that is
yeah,
present in all of us. Yeah,
okay. So really strengthening that core foundation of you in order to help you rebuild and be much stronger effectively.
yeah,
And then, of course, we might also be looking at a constitutional remedy, just something to strengthen you as we go. So a couple of different ways to get much deeper. And of course, this is something that we do as homeopaths quite often, isn't it? We're giving you a remedy for now for you to take when this happens, and something much stronger that we can be building up the foundations so that it's not going to
yeah.
keep reoccurring. So let's just have a look at a couple of those miasmatic remedies then that you might be considering.
Yeah. So one of the best remedies I've used miasmatically in such situation is casinosin.
Yes, of course.
It's been very, very helpful, especially if the patient has got that fear of death as well, the fear of cancer.
Mhm.
So in this case, there was a strong history of grief as well. So if there is a lot of grief in the history, a lot of suppressions, taking care of others. So it can be very, very helpful remedy to work with. So another one you might think about could be also medorinum. Medorinum, if there is that more kind of restlessness and moving around and trying to do everything and everything,
Yeah,
helping everyone at the same time.
yeah.
So there's more that agitation and that restlessness present in the picture.
Yes, yes, it's very much got the picture of more, 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 hasn't it? You
Yes,
know, just the feeling, and of course, carcinosin has got that huge wanting to please
everybody.
others.
Yeah,
So it
yeah,
might be that they really need to get good grades in order to please others,
yes,
and then of course, where at some point that comes to no, they're putting this on themselves. It's their requirement is that they can't do anything without getting top marks, and that perfectionism comes out
yes,
very
yeah,
strongly, doesn't
yeah,
it?
yeah.
And then, of course, constitutionally, we've got quite a few remedies that are very, very anxious.
Yeah, we can find as a more constitutional remedies arsenicum.
Yeah.
Is another anxiety remedy. So they are quite similar with carcinosin in terms of the perfectionist and having everything in order. So they can be quite comparable with carcinosin, and they most of the time they work quite well, very well together. Another one to think about is phosphorus. Phosphorus can be quite fearful as well. They have a lot of fears, fears of dark, fears of ghost, fears of thunderstorms. They have a lot of loud noises. So yeah, they have a lot of fears. So it can be quite helpful remedy as well to consider more constitutionally. So they are normally quite um, enjoyable children. Like they are very very open. They like playing with other children, and so sometimes that anxiety is not very obvious because they can appear as very sociable and friendly with everybody, and you might not think that actually they have that strong fears and anxiety present in them.
Absolutely. And yes, just it's just you start thinking about one remedy and then another remedy. And this is the reason why we're asking about dreams and we're asking about energy and we're asking about physical symptoms as well as emotional symptoms, because we need all of this information in order to choose a remedy that's going to help right now. But this has been a brilliant way just to start thinking about the fact that homeopathy works in such a different way for anxiety. It's such a gentle medicine, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is. It is because, as we said, it supports the person. It doesn't have any side effects. So it actually helps the body to overcome that anxiety, to overcome that fear. So it's very gentle. And mm, yeah, I don't think there is anything bad to say about homeopathy, really.
You're biased there, Danilo. You're biased. We just love homeopathy so much, don't we? It just, yes, we can't imagine life without it. So, but what I'm hoping is that this conversation has triggered some curiosity for our listeners so that they can click through, find out more about you, find out more about the work that you do, especially as a psychologist, with homeopathy as well, because you can obviously then be explaining exactly what's happening and helping people learn more about themselves and their body and their actions and reactions, which is
Definitely.
so important for healing, isn't it?
Definitely, that mind-body connection as well. Nowadays is something that is becoming quite strongly. A lot of people talks about the mind-body connection now, and is widely, yeah, available. And yeah, I also created an ebook on anxiety and panic attacks. So if people want to download it, they can just
Yeah,
go on the website and download that ebook as well.
that's amazing. Thank you, Danilo. We will put that link down in the description as well for people to have a look at that. Thank you
Brilliant.
very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mary.
I do hope you've enjoyed this conversation. It's just been so interesting to be able to talk and actually discuss how homeopathy can help with panic attacks and severe anxiety. Now, if this has been of interest to you and you'd like to find out more, then click on the link here because we've got a lot more information for you. And you can go through, you can click and see everything that we have put together for you so that you can explore this topic in detail. Thanks so much for joining me. Look forward to seeing you again soon.